The doctor estimated we'll be due right before Christmas. Just think, Jonathan, a Christmas miracle of our very own. Lauren beamed with excitement, holding a protective hand over her still flat stomach. It will still be a few months until we're able to know what we're having, but as long as it's healthy, I don't care what it is. Jonathan stared at Lauren. I'm going to be a father? Yes, can you believe it? I mean, I know that we said we were going to wait a few years before starting a family, but apparently God had other plans for us. Lauren sighed happily. That's amazing. Are you sure you're feeling okay? Do you need to sit down? He ushered his petite, dark-haired wife with sparkling hazel eyes over to the plush sectional. Maybe I should finish cooking dinner tonight while you relax. Lauren laughed. I'm pregnant, not sick. I feel fantastic. There's absolutely no reason I can't finish dinner. But if you want to help with the dishes... Of course, honey. Anytime you want some extra help around the house. Have you told your parents yet? Or mine? She shook her head, her sleek, straight hair cascading around her shoulders. I thought we could invite them to a special dinner and tell them together. And we might want to wait until after the first trimester is over, just to make sure everything's going the way it should be. Jonathan nodded slowly. Whatever you think is best, honey. After all, Mother knows best, right? He chuckled and winked at her. Lauren swatted him playfully as she stood up from the couch. Shouldn't you be working on your sermon for tomorrow's special service? I think it was a great idea to add on a special Friday night service on Good Friday. So many will be heading out to visit friends and family over the weekend. I think it will be good for them to get to celebrate Easter with us anyway. I'm just sorry I'm going to miss it. Yes, but I'm glad you're going to be able to spend the next week and a half with your family. You never get to see them since we moved. Lauren smiled. That's true, but I'm still sorry that I'll miss the next few sermons. You'll have to make sure that you make your messages extra special. We want them to be excited to spend time at church. Hopefully they'll think so too. And yes, I should probably go work on it now. Jonathan leaned down and lightly brushed her lips with his own. I love you, and I'm so glad that you're going to be the mother of my children. You'll be an amazing mother. She smiled up at him and reached up to slide her arm around his neck, pulling him even closer. You don't have to do that right this minute. We could always celebrate first. She pressed her lips against his slowly, closing her eyes as she sighed deeply. Jonathan kneeled on the couch beside her, weaving his hand through her hair as he deepened the kiss. He forced himself to focus on her glossy lips softening under pressure. Her lips part as his tongue delved into her mouth, slowly stroking her tongue with his. She pressed closer to him as he felt her nipples slowly pebble as he stroked them through her silky shirt. Her quiet moan was interrupted by a shrill ring as she gasped in surprise. She broke away, breathing heavily as another ring sounded. You better get that. It might be important. She watched him rush from the room, smiling as she gently patted her stomach. Jonathan stared at his computer, frowning at the words on the computer screen. I need to get this finished, and I just can't figure out what to say. Jonathan leaned back in the chair, stretching his arms above his head. His mind wandered back to Lauren's news about the baby. What kind of a father am I going to make? How do I know that I'll do or say the right thing? He sighed and stood up, walking to the kitchen to grab a cold drink. He grabbed a glass and filled it with ice, his mind drifting back to his childhood and conversations with his own father. He leaned against the granite countertop as his father's words filled his mind. You need to remember what God means for you. God didn't create homosexuals. Wanting someone of the same sex is unnatural. He replayed the conversation from years before, every word ingrained permanently. But Dad, I can't help how I feel. I didn't ask to be attracted to him. I was hoping that you'd help me understand. You don't need to understand what's wrong. Just know what's right. His father's voice echoed through his head. You have to do what you know is right with God. But Dad, I haven't done anything. I can't just turn off my feelings. Jonathan, you don't want to condemn yourself to an afterlife in hell. Don't give in to Satan. Just find yourself a nice girl to settle down with. Just do as you're told. Jonathan cringed as the do as you're told continued to resound through his mind. I never want to say that to my children. I don't care what they ask about. I want my children to follow their heart, not feel like they have to just follow blindly. That's it. That's the message I need to focus on. I need to focus on feeling God's love so they don't feel like they're just doing what they're told. Jonathan rushed back to the office, his fingers typing furiously over the keys. That was a pretty powerful message, preacher. It really struck home for me. And since I'll be spending Easter with my daughter and her family, I was worried about missing your weekly message. I'm really glad that you decided to host a special service for Good Friday. I'm glad to hear that, Jonathan murmured softly as he shook his hand. I thought it would be really nice to be able to get together before everybody left for the holiday. And I'm so glad I was able to bring my friend Ryan with me. The distinguished gentleman with the salt and pepper hair gestured to the lean, dark-haired man to his left. Jonathan glanced at the stranger, dressed in black slacks, a dark purple button-up shirt, and a silver cross glinted around his neck as he offered him his hand. I'm glad you were able to bring your friend, too. We're always happy to welcome someone new. Ryan, you said? Bill nodded and Jonathan smiled. It's nice to meet you, Ryan. I'm Jonathan. Jonathan looked up into the deepest set of blue eyes that he'd ever seen as Ryan reached forward to clasp hands. Inhaling sharply, the spark of electricity crackled through the air. Sorry about that, Ryan apologized as he offered an uncomfortable smile. Oh, there's the little lady calling me now, Bill interrupted. I'll see you later, preacher. Jonathan nodded, not moving his eyes from Ryan's. We'll see you next week, Bill. I hope your holiday travels are safe and that we'll see you here back next Sunday. Bill nodded as he melted into the crowd. So, Ryan, where are you from? I'm here visiting from near Boulder, Colorado. I had some unexpected vacation time and decided to take advantage of it at the last minute. Now I'm really glad I did. Ryan smiled warmly as he glanced down at their still clasped hands. How long will you be visiting us here in Seattle? And you picked a great time to visit. Spring is especially lovely here. Jonathan nervously pulled his hand back, still tingling from the shock. I'll be here for a few weeks. Any suggestions on what sights I need to see while I'm here? You'll want to see the Space Needle for sure. Jonathan paused before continuing. The Woodland Park Zoo is also a must-see, but my favorite place to recommend is the Aurora Bridge Troll. A bridge troll? Jonathan laughed. Yes, it's a bit of an unusual tourist spot, but one that you'll not soon forget. The troll is under the bridge, of course, so you don't have to worry about getting snatched. I'll have to check that out. You'll have to give me directions. I can do one better. I'm headed that direction later this week, Jonathan smiled shyly. You can tag along with our group if you want to. Oh, that sounds great. What day are you heading over there? Ryan pulled the Droid Max out of his pocket and clicked on a few icons on the screen. We'll be heading up there on Monday afternoon. Just a few guys are coming here for a retreat that day. Would that work for you? Jonathan replied. Yeah, that'll work. What time did you want to meet up? We'll be meeting here at 2 p.m. We can see the troll and we'll be back in time for dinner. That sounds good.